Okay, so we're gonna go over our intermediate requirements. This is green belts and above in the youth and teen MMA program, okay? So we're gonna start working off a mistake that you yourself may make, but your classmates may make it. We see it testings, and we see it when we're rolling a lot. And it's when somebody goes for the drop Sayanagi, right? So George comes in and he drops down and then he pauses. I didn't come off his back yet, and I was supposed to have already been off of his back. Okay, so you never pause here for the throw, this cycle. You always have to turn and look and get them off your back as soon as you drop to your knees. Okay, so when somebody doesn't do the whole throw to you, right, they pause, you should always be looking for this. Whatever arm you have on top of their shoulder, put the bottom hook in. Okay, now, look here, we're gonna come in, we're gonna wrap around, put the top hook in, and shrug up for the finish. Okay. Again, Mr. George drops in, and I'm going to set the bottom hook, take his back here, and there's my Mata Leon. Okay, now Mr. George is on my back. Okay, so last cycle we saw the submission escapes and the positional escape for back control. They were all focused around needle thread. Okay, so intermediates and above are all going to be focused on a move we call the crab walk. Okay, so we were 2-on-1 when we were looking at the yellow orange belt requirements. Here we're going to be one hand on each. Okay, now whatever his arm that's under, we want to fall on that. All right, now the big mistake everybody makes is they fall on their side. We don't want to fall on our side. What we want to do is we want the back of our head to go on the mat. We're going to be on the back with our hips up like a bridge next to Mr. George's head like this. Okay? Now, Mr. George has his seatbelt and I've got one hand on each hand. I can be expanding my chest out and opening his seatbelt. Okay? So that's going to be our seatbelt escape, but we need to complete. We're not going to stay inside of his guard. We're not going to needle thread like we did for the yellow orange belts. Okay, so we're gonna get that one-on-one. We go here, we break, and I start walking out here. Okay, I've got to keep my weight on Mr. George's chest. I go here, we want to turn to a big side mount. If you stay in reverse Kessa, that's okay as long as you've got your weight on. Okay, so the big thing that's gonna be hard to do is when you're crab crawling out is to not slide off the top of your butt. Okay, so you end up here, all you have to do is go to your knees to get the side mount. So let's see that one more time. Look, we want to get the one-on-one right here. Okay, now I'm going to fall to my head on the mat on the underhook side, right here. Okay, if you get the hook out and you start crawling out first and then you break the seatbelt, that's fine too. Okay, oh, I didn't want to fall off. Right? Keep your weight on it. Look, I'm walking on my feet. If I'm too low, I walk up. Push yourself back if you need to. And come to the side mount position. So we want to see you finish in side mount. If you finish in reverse Kessa like you're about to step over to mount, that's okay. Because our red belts and above are going to be stepping over to mount. All right? So that is our escape from the back control. Okay, third technique, Mr. George is going to be in the turtle. Okay, you're going to be beside them, leaning on them, putting some weight on them, and we call this the bottom hook back take. And we'll show this from both angles. From this angle, you're going to see my hook come through. Okay, so I'm going to pull Mr. George by his hip. All right, I'm going to slide my shin in, and that's my bottom hook. Okay, so here, once I get my bottom hook in, I'm going to seatbelt and get my top hook. Here we can attack with our arm bar. We can come with our Mata Leon. Right? So when Mr. George is here, we're going to put our hand on the mat, slide our shin in, bottom hook. Okay? Now, we'll show it from this side with our details. Hand on the mat, pulling his hip. And our shin is going to swap where my leg's at here on the inside. Okay? Like this. That's my bottom hook. back take. Okay, so those are the 3 techniques to add on for our intermediates and above. So your green belt and above, you need to know everything we've gone over for the last 2 sets of videos. Okay, so we'll be working this in class. As always, if you're ever uncertain about any of the techniques, particularly if you're watching them at home, think about that and then come ask Mr. George, myself, Ms. Cora, one of your instructors, to clarify. And I bet that that'll be the technique and the detail that you remember the most. Okay, so that's a challenge for all the students. All right, we'll see everybody later.